In the book, Comparing Bits and Pieces, we work with ratios, rates, unit rates, fractions, decimals, and percents. Today we're going to start with a problem, and then we're going to turn that into a ratio statement, a rate, a unit rate, a fraction, and a decimal. And our problem says, Jordan spent 180 minutes on her math homework and 120 minutes on her science homework. And then we're going to write comparison statements for this information. So we're going to compare the amount of time she's spending on her math homework compared to the amount of time she's spending on her science homework. So one of our comparison statements might be, for every 20 minutes she spends on her science homework, she spends 180 minutes on her math homework. Another comparison statement we could have is, for every 10 minutes she spends on her science homework, she is spending 90 minutes on her math homework. Our next step then would be to take our information and to create a rate table. A rate table is going to help us organize our information so we can compare her math homework to her science homework. And when we are creating rate tables, we want to make sure that we are including all of the information needed, and we're looking for patterns between our two comparisons. So we know she's spending 180 minutes on her math homework. We know she's spending 20 minutes on her science homework. So if we were to take those two, and cut them in half, or to divide them both by 2, we would see that she spends 90 minutes on her math homework and 10 minutes on her science homework. And we would want to continue this pattern until we found our unit rate. And our unit rate is where one of our objects is a 1 unit. And in this case, we're going to see our science be a 1 unit. So we would divide them both by 10, and we would see that if she is spending 1 minute on her science homework, she is spending 9 minutes on her math homework. So our unit rate says that for every minute she spends on her science homework, she is spending 9 minutes on her math homework. And so this tells us that every time she spends a minute on her science homework, she will spend 9 minutes on her math homework. And we can see that that leads into our 90 minutes on math for 10 minutes on science, and then our 180 minutes on math to our 20 minutes on science. We can also take this information then, and we can write these as fractions, and we can turn our fractions into decimals. So if we know she's spending 20 minutes on her science homework, we can say that our fraction would be 20 minutes out of a total of 200 minutes spent on homework. Our fraction would be 20 over 200. And the reason our fraction would be 20 over 200 is the amount of time she's spending on her science homework is 20 minutes. The total amount of time that she's spending on her homework is 200 minutes. So our fraction would be 20 over 200. We could find our unit rate by using our fraction by simplifying or reducing our fraction down to its smallest point. So we could divide both 20 and 200 by 20 and get our answer of 1/10. That tells us that 1 out of every 10 minutes she's spending on her homework is spent on science homework. That fraction 1/10 can be turned into a decimal by reading that fraction. The fraction 1/10 tells us our decimal would be 0.1 because the 1 is in our tenths place. So our equivalent decimal to our fraction is 0.1.